But those 17 days, that was, a lot of thinking about feeling a bit sorry for myself that I was there. I had a heart attack, but also, how lucky I am. And you know what? I had hundreds of letters and cards, support, and people telling me what my music means. And I mean, how often do you get that? You do your day job, regular jobs that I've had. At the end of the day, who comes up to you and says, I love what you did today?
Usually no one, right?
That. You just don't get it. Wow. So, man, I'm so lucky. And that's kept me going, really.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris. Joe Pacheco joined me on the line as always. What's happening, my man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Enjoying the week. Beautiful weather this week so far. And I'm really excited for people to see our guest today on Innersleeve.
Really exciting episode today. We were joined by none other than Blaze Bayley, of course, the awesome metal singer, formerly of Wolfsbane and Iron Maiden, currently talking to us about his upcoming solo tour all across the UK and all across Europe as well, starting this year leading into 2024. And I have to say, Joe, probably one of the most energetic guests we've ever had on this podcast. This was an amazing interview.
That's what I was going to say. It was like when you say he came to talk to us. I don't know if he came to talk or shouted to us.
Yeah,
in the
a little bit of
audience,
both.
You know what I mean? He's awesome. He's awesome.
It was amazing. We got the full interview coming up on today's guest portion of the show. Hopping over to some rock news. Joe's favorite artist, Marilyn Manson, has officially been sentenced to community service and a fine for the first of many legal troubles that brewed this past year. Now, this situation was actually over blowing his nose on a videographer at a concert in New Hampshire.
Just as a little note, definitely not my favorite artist. Never has been. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, I never was into this guy. Like in music, I liked some of his stuff, but all the outsideness of the music, I really just never liked him. And whatever, but so I'm glad he's lucky I'm not the judge and jury over here, because I would have really gone to town on him. But are we really surprised? I mean, I've seen him once opening up for Slipknot, and I got a free ticket, and I totally hated his whole set. He just kept throwing stuff, pushing stuff. The roadies had to keep coming to put stuff back. At one point, I don't know, he broke a bottle on something, and then he ended up cutting his arm, which you think is obviously part of the show, but no, because they stopped the show for 10 minutes, never put the lights back on. The audience started booing like crazy.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that just reinforced why I don't like this guy. And second, so glad I didn't pay a penny for that show.
That's true. I mean, definitely one of the most polarizing figures, I would say, in music. You're either going to love it or hate it. And I can honestly see both. I can understand why someone would hate him, and maybe if you're into this performance, why you'd like it, right?
Well, dude, production-wise, songs-wise, and all that stuff, it was killer. His stuff was awesome at the time, right? Late 90s, early 2000s. But for me, it's, we always have these discussions. It's all about the music for me. So the show is one thing, put on a great show. That's great. Like Slipknot does, I'm sure he did back in the day, but all the controversy and all that other crap around it, I don't go for that. And it kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth. I don't even want to listen to the guy or follow the guy anymore.
No, it's completely fair perspective. Now, I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, because Manson was charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of simple assault after the videographer accused the singer of spitting and blowing his nose on her at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. The second charge was dismissed, as reported by Blabbermouth here, with a negotiated plea deal, according to Manson's attorney. Now, Manson's going to have to pay a fine of $1,200 and was sentenced to 20 hours of community service to be done within 6 months. I mean, this isn't too bad, Joe. I mean, when you really look at the facts. Now, my biggest prediction, or sort of my assumption rather, is that this person was maybe looking for a payout when they sued Manson. I'm sure they didn't sue Manson with the hope that he would do community service. So maybe it ended up in Manson's favor here.
Well, yeah, I guess at a certain point, you're spitting on people. It's more degrading, to someone spitting on you. And you see him do all this kind of stuff during the show and stuff. So I'm totally not surprised that he blew his nose or spit on her or anybody. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe he got the luckier deal, but what are you going to find somebody? You're not going to lock him up for spitting on somebody,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would imagine the person probably was hoping for some sort of, check, to get paid off to maybe dismiss it or something like that. I also have an anecdote as well of Marilyn Manson, and forgive me if I've told this on the show before, but it's definitely relevant. I actually photographed Marilyn Manson at a music festival in 2019, right before the pandemic. And we were in the photo pit, and one of his, I guess I'll call them his handlers, came into the pit. And they said, listen, guys, you're going to need to keep your distance from the stage because he spits. And I looked at him and I laughed because I thought he was joking. And the guy looked at me deadpan. He was completely serious. He was like, he will spit on you. You have to dodge and be careful. And I remember thinking, what gives this guy the right? Like, who does this guy think he is to be able to tell photographers he's going to spit on them? But this is very true. And so, I can testify to that.
Well, thanks for the warning, because if ever I get to, I'm never going to apply to shoot a Marilyn Manson show, that's for sure.
Remind me not to go shoot Marilyn Manson. But again, the crazy part is this is probably one of the least wild things Manson has ever done on stage. Have you guys ever got the chance to see Marilyn Manson live in concert? I'm very curious to know what you think of him. Would you like to go see him? Would you, like to avoid his shows? Let us know what you think of this very polarizing artist down below in the comments. Hopping over to the SoundMojo community tab. Of course, this is the spot on our YouTube channel where we post different questions and polls to see what our audience is listening to. And here we asked John Paul Jones versus Jack Bruce.
Our audience picked 80% for John Paul Jones and 20% for Jack Bruce.
It's always Led Zeppelin supremacy here on SoundMojo, which sort of makes sense. I mean, one of the most relevant rock bands still from the 60s, 70s era. That being said, though, we got to show some love to Jack Bruce. I mean, this guy was so versatile. He did lead vocal. He did writing. He did, his different bass. Definitely a very iconic guy all around. So this is a tough matchup.
Very tough. And unfair because, we're pinning two iconic bass players, songwriters, basically legends at their instrument. But I think it's mostly because Jack Bruce and Cream were such a powerhouse influence, and obviously so was Led Zeppelin. I just think somehow Led Zeppelin obviously edges them out in terms of popularity and all that stuff. So that's why this is so drastic. I would have picked John Paul Jones just because I'm just more familiar with Zeppelin catalog.
Do you feel like John Paul Jones is underrated in any way, even though he's in such a big group?
No, I don't. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's appropriately rated. Like people, he's respected not only as the bass player and the groove, he's also respected as the writer, a main writer in Led Zeppelin, and then also in terms of string arrangements, keyboards and stuff. I think he's perfectly rated, I would say, in my opinion.
That's a good point. I definitely think he gets his due credit. Jack Bruce, though, I can't say the same. I feel like Eric Clapton definitely steals a lot of the thunder and the spotlight for Cream, at least for the general public. But I feel like anybody who knows their rock and knows their music, they're going to know Jack Bruce and appreciate his contributions to the genre.
I mean, not the mention. It's funny, when you think of this powerhouse of both these bands are incredible bass players, incredible singers, incredible song, sound, drummers.
A lot of parallels
Ginger
to the
Baker,
groups.
Eric Clapton, amazing guitar player. Jimmy Page, amazing guitar player, and both of them came from the Yardbirds with Jeff Beck. You know what I mean? It's very one thing I want to get out there is I apologize for using the French version. Somehow, maybe I don't know why I thought of Jean Paul Jones, but somebody called me out, and I was like, damn, that Quebecois French just must have subconsciously slipped in there. I don't know why.
It's part of him. It's part of his identity. You can't take it.
I should have put Jacques with a Q-U-E-S.
Yeah, Jacques Bruce. Jacques Bruce. Did we have anything in the comments that we wanted to touch on?
Yeah, let's go. Let's look. Let's see. Okay, so we got Genius. That's good. So let's see. Baby Lemonade 2868 says his bass lines are amazing. Zepp wouldn't have been as good without him, and Jimmy knows it too. I mean, look, these guys are, it's not like, I don't know, maybe what I'm going to say is kind of stupid, but when you have two guitar players, you can sort of maybe hide behind, or they complement each other as guitar players, right? Like AC/DC. It's perfect, right?
Maiden.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're one guy per sort of instrument, especially with Jack Bruce, Cream being three guys and sounding that big, right?
Yeah.
So you can't have one without, you would be missing a limb if John Paul Jones was missing or Bonham was missing. It just would not have been the same.
100%. It's like peanut butter jelly sandwich, right? You need the peanut butter, the jelly, but you need the bread too. You know what I mean? He was like the bread.
There you go.
Such a strange, strange analogy.
Wow, I hope he's not listening right now, John Paul Jones. We just equated him to a bread.
He's the bread. Hold it all together.
He's the best thing since sliced bread. No, anyway,
exactly. There you go.
So let's see, who do we have next? Tony Sam 7261. John Paul Jones has versatility, playing the bass and keyboards, mandolin, and the sense of songwriting and arranging. Pretty much echoing what I said not too long ago. Nothing against Jack Bruce. Cream was one of the greatest trios ever, but John Paul Jones, it's like, wow, it's a chorus of John Paul Jones. Usually we have like the guy who's doing the least, all the defenders coming in to sort of, and here we have more, man, just kick a man when he's down. Let's keep throwing more on.
No vocal minority in this one. This is the majority is John Paul Jones.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank @Vox1962. Who is John Paul Jones? I know a John Paul Jones.
Oh my gosh. Hey, we listen, we can accept that, Vox. We appreciate you holding us accountable here. We got to get the man's name right.
Yeah, these are legends, man. We got to say it right, like it is.
That's very true. Now, if you missed the chance to go and vote on this poll, there's still the chance for you to vote now. We're definitely curious who you would pick and who your favorite musician is, John Paul Jones or Jack Bruce. Let us know in the comments. Hopping over to our guest portion of today's show, it was an honor to be joined by Blaze Bayley on today's brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. I got to say, Joe, as you mentioned off the top, this one is really going to take you guys' breath away with the amount of passion that Blaze has. This is a man who just recovered from a quadruple bypass surgery. He had a heart attack back in March. And it's really an inspiration, as I told him at the end of the show, to hear, how far he's come from his recovery and how passionate he is to be back in music.
Dude, and like within 5 months, the open heart, quadruple bypass. Anyways, he goes into some pretty gruesome detail or funny detail about it. But his name is appropriate, man. He just blazed through this whole interview. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just
Seriously.
Awesome. He fired me up, man. It's cool because it makes you appreciate, you never know when this could all end, right? We all take for granted that we have control. We have no control over anything. Nothing is under our control, at the end of the day, right? But
no, it's true.
Now I have even more respect now that we've spoken to him than I did before.
100%. Blaze also starts this interview showing his latest live record, Damaged, Strange, Different, and Live, which you guys can go check out on Spotify or probably on his website to get a vinyl copy. We will put all the links down below for you to go and connect with Blaze. And we really hope you guys enjoy today's interview. Blaze Bayley, welcome to the Innersleeve Music Podcast.
Hello, Innersleeve.
That's right. We're ready to rock today. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Would the Innersleeve be like this? Is that the Innersleeve right
That's
now?
right. You're in the spirit today.
Beautiful.
That looks amazing. Is that the latest live record?
This is it, man. This is the live album. It's absolutely so proud of it.
Dude,
Nice.
absolutely. Oh, a signed copy too. Now we're talking.
Yeah. This is it. I'm able to sign my albums to myself at no cost whatsoever.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, it's good. It's
That's
good.
phenomenal, man. So, I mean, listen, obviously we know you're gearing up for a whole bunch more live performances. You got dates scheduled all throughout the rest of this year and into next year. How are you feeling about these shows coming up, man?
I'm very excited. I had a heart attack in March, and thanks to whatever or whoever, then I've been very, very lucky. The paramedics got to me in 2 minutes, and that could have been my last show in March. And through just a lot of good luck and fantastic support from fans, from my fiance who nursed me when I got back home, I couldn't do anything. Then to get from that, where you're not basically allowed to lift your arms, to a thing where I'm able to go to rehearsals, stand up, sing the whole set, my voice is coming back, I'm getting all my power back, I'm very excited now about getting back on stage in October, November, December. It's a different world, man. I'm very, very lucky. And, you know, when they said to promoters and fans, well, shows are going to have to be cancelled or postponed, nobody gave a ticket back. No promoter cancelled. They said, well, we'll just wait and see what happens.
Amazing.
And it's incredible. You know, I'm totally independent. I live my dream, however small it is, however humble, of being a full-time heavy metal singer. I live that dream. I write my songs. I go
live and breathe it.
Sing them on stage. I'm singing my songs, heavy metal, and I don't care. And my fans support me. I'm able to do that, man. It's incredible, incredible to be able to come back. I'm lucky. I didn't have heart failure and a heart attack. So it's like someone says, stop what you're doing right now. Because if you think you're carrying on like this, you're just not getting anywhere. So I had a good think while I was in hospital. I said, I've got to get back to work. I've got to see my fans. I can't leave it like that. I've got so many ideas musically that I want to do for my album, for my next thing, ideas in the future. Oh, man. So I've been very lucky. I've had every chance given to me to get back to health. I'm coming back strong. And you know what? I think it changes the way that the lyrics come out, because suddenly there's an extra dimension to the lyric. So every time I'm singing, a common thread in my music is to try and just hold on in desperate times, not give in to suicidal thoughts, and science fiction and the positive side of science. I have that in my music, and a lot of that. I'm singing my songs, and I'm singing about being a warrior, which is on my Damaged Stranger Different album. I've taken the title from that. The internal dialogue that you have with yourself. Who are you? Who are you? You're not what they say you are. You're what you say you are. So you have to decide. So what you're going to do, you're going to give up, or you're just going to hold on for another minute, another hour. And I had to wait for my operation. I had a quadruple bypass operation.
Unbelievable.
The surgeon, he's coming to visit me at the bed, and he's saying, well, we can give you surgery, get your heart right, or some people don't believe in surgery. They're also the people that believe the earth is flat. So I
there
said,
you go.
yeah. I said,
a small percentage.
What do they do, doctor? Fall off the edge of the world? You know? So he said, they probably do. So he said, when we open you up, we can do anything. I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going for. I'm having a surgery. Whatever crap is in there, whatever, they'll fix it. So it's a quadruple bypass. But I had to wait for the staff, the hospital, and everything like that. Like
was that during the pandemic?
No, this has just happened, man, in March this year.
Okay,
and 17 days in that hospital waiting, and that's a lot of time to think about what you want to do. That was the toughest time, I think. To actually have the surgery, to recover from that, it's a lot of pain, but okay, it's just hang on, it's a small step. But those 17 days, that was, a lot of thinking about feeling a bit sorry for myself that I was there. I had a heart attack, but also, how lucky I am. And you know what? I had hundreds of letters and cards, support, and people telling me what my music means. And I mean, how often do you get that? You do your day job, regular jobs that I've had. At the end of the day, who comes up to you and says, I love what you did today?
Usually no one, right?
That. You just
Never.
don't get it.
Wow.
So, man, I'm so lucky. And that's kept me going, really. No, I can't wait to get back, see my fans. And you know what we're going to do is a free meet and greet at every show up to Christmas. Free, man.
Wow.
Included in the regular ticket price. Free meet and greet. Included in your ticket price. That's it. Just so I can say thank you to my fans.
Wow.
You know, that's incredible too. The fact that you mentioned they didn't turn their backs on you. They didn't, try to get refunded for their tickets, and they're still there for you. I mean, did this experience, Blaze, really make you feel more connected to the fans than ever before? Because obviously you always have loved them, but this has to be a whole nother level.
I feel that we've built together a sacred trust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In that, I mean, if you can live as an artist, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people want to live as an artist or a professional sportsman, professional musician, to live as an artist. And the trust that I feel is, right, we're going to get your next record, no matter what anyone says about it. I will decide if I like it. I don't care what anybody else says. But I trust that it will be the absolute best work that you can do.
Yeah.
And that is the sacred trust that I feel that we have. If I give of myself everything, pour myself, dedicate myself to those songs, to that album, then when it comes out, that will be the album that is worthy of the support of my incredible fans. And then my fans can trust me and go, you know what? If I have to pre-order it, get it in advance, if a magazine or some keyboard warrior says this is the worst album ever made by any artist, not just metal, but musical, then my fans will say, well, I'll decide for myself. And that's the trust, I think, that over the years we've built up together. So it's up to me to go, you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks. And I was able to do with a couple of records, able to say, you know what? I'm not sending this to the press, to the magazines, to anybody. My fans, I asked them to pre-order. The first people to hear the album, Infinite Entanglement, that's going to be my fans that bought the album.
Exactly.
And that was a nice feeling, man. That was such a nice feeling to be able to do that for a couple of albums. And now that's it. I can be part of the regular thing where I send it off and things come out on the day of release and everything. But I'm very lucky to be able to do that. But that's because I'm small. I'm a small artist, and me and my team were fiercely independent.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what are some of the different angles about that independence, Blaze? About, I mean, is it much different than, not being independent? And like, what are the main differences, I suppose?
Well, I think with a modern deal, all record deals in the past, record companies kind of like a bank, and they're spending a lot of money on you to promote you. It's a lot of nothing coming in to make you big. So eventually you get enough fans that the money coming in pays them back for all that promotion and hard work that they did to help you build your name up. That's the traditional way of doing things. And record companies have become more focused on promotion and less focused on the other side of it. So, well, what you've got, if you're independent, of course, they have a budget and a certain amount of money. When you're independent, you've got very little in the way of money to promote yourself. Because if you print a T-shirt, you can sell that, get some money back off the shirt. You spend money on advertising and promotion, nothing comes back. Until after the tour, people, maybe you get in, nothing comes back direct. So that's the big thing about being independent. There's much less money for the kind of promotion that artists like Taylor Swift have in the beginning. But you see what Taylor Swift has done and some other artists have done. The record company owns their recording.
Right.
Part of the deal, they own that recording, not your song, but the recording of that song. And then it's like, well, we own this forever. So you have to go then, your song is your song. You have to make a new recording of your song for your fans to listen to. Scorpions have done that. Foreigner, I think, have done that. Taylor Swift famously has done that, and I think she's a great example to young artists of what she's done. And I'm lucky that with my catalogue, I licensed my records after Iron Maiden. I licensed them, and that license meant that eventually the recordings came back, ownership of the recordings came back to me. So I own all of my records since Iron Maiden, my whole catalogue of, I think, 14 albums, I think 12, something like 3 live albums and 12 studio albums. I own it. That is a unique thing to be in. So when my fan comes to my merch desk and buys an album, I get the money. That money goes into keeping the tour rolling, keeping the band together, and on to the next album. So in that way, I'm very lucky. But that's a big difference with being independent and being signed up to someone. And I called it sometimes years ago, the slave system. Right? Even Prince, George Michael, huge bands, the Scorpions, huge bands, were in this thing where they felt like they were trapped and working for nothing.
Yeah. It's so true. And we've seen it all throughout history as well. And I mean, Joe, you could probably speak to that as well, because you've been in licensing. You were there for many years.
Yeah, I know. It's a cutthroat. And I think it's like purposely kept complicated or complex to confuse people and stuff. I've worked in the royalty department of stuff, and it's like, wow, this is just way so complicated for no reason, you know. But that's what I love about like what you were saying, Blaze, is like it doesn't surprise me, but it's still great to see is that the metal community supports the artists, you know, like they really like. I remember when like, you know, Napster in those days where everybody was downloading stuff, and I still remember like friends of myself saying, no man, I want the album, I want to support the band, I want to buy a shirt, I want to do this, you know. So it's really like touching to see, man, that like you have this fantastic support system.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky. And it's a lot of pennies in the big system. Oh, a penny here, a penny there. Something. Your song was played on the radio in Paraguay. Oh, you've got like a few cents to come in from that. But when you start, you manage to catch all those little bits.
Yeah.
You've got enough to pay your rent. And that's it. But they do make it, in the past especially, so complex. And I suppose because the way the business has grown from, you know, the 50s right through to now, and what Elvis Presley had in the studio and what I have, my own studio and everything in between. I worked at the top studios in the world to make my albums in the past with Wolfsbane. And now, you know, it's a different world, I think. And there's a lot of advantages, and I think for new bands, you've got to learn all that. But the main thing, the number one thing is, I think, learn to record yourself well.
That's a big one, right?
I think that's it. You're going to become a virtuoso on your instrument. You're going to become the Lennon and McCartney of rock or metal, for world's greatest songwriters. You've got halfway. In the modern world, that's got you halfway. You want the real independence, then you're halfway. When you're fantastic, you're halfway. Because the rest of it is, how do you record yourself?
Right.
And to be able to communicate, to get those songs over. And I think now, in this world, for all of the problems that we say are coming with AI and all of this, for now, we're in a situation as an artist, I can record myself, and the sound that I want, you will listen to.
Right.
That wasn't always the case, but it's your duty then as an artist to make sure you find out how to record yourself.
Never give up. I won't back down. Get stronger, be harder, be tougher, be proud. Never give up. War with myself. Crushed out and fear and answer the question, who am I?
So for you, do you still prefer to go out to remote studios, or do you do a lot of in-house production?
No, it's I had so many bad experiences with recording with the old system and using tape and things like this. It's just a lot of wasted energy. I am a passionate person. I am an emotional person. I started singing because I wanted to get on the stage and sing in front of people. So the traditional way of recording is to stick me in a box with a mic on my own with headphones. Now, that's as far away from singing in front of people headbanging as you could possibly get. So how do you expect me to perform anywhere near what I'm capable of and give my passion and everything to a fucking wall in a box? Basically, you're putting the lead singer in a padded cell. That's it, man.
True.
So that's
true.
That, man. Forget that. When I met Don Dokken years ago in Sound City Studios in Los Angeles, and he's there in the control room. He's got his foot up on $1 million desk, mixing desk. I said, "What are you doing, Don?" He goes, "Oh, man, I'm just doing some vocals here." I said, "But in the control room?" "Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I never go in the booth." I just, "What?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, they wire the speakers out of phase. I just in here, man, I'm singing so I can with the band." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
And then when I made my first album, Silicon Messiah, with Andy Sneap, an incredible producer, I said, "Andy, I want to try this." He goes, "Okay, we'll try it." And we did it. So for almost all of the performances that I did, you could just wire the speaker out of phase, cancels itself out. It's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Just singing. You can sing handheld or you're in the room.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Totally different vibe.
Totally different. So I do all my vocals like that in the room now, and it's a different world. So modern technology has become affordable now to have a studio in your home that costs a few thousand. That's it. You collect your equipment, and if you've got a great guy like Chris Appleton, Andy Sneap, the most wonderful producer, and then you record yourself and you focus on your performance, and it's just like catching butterflies. There's a beautiful performance. We've got it. No, there's a beautiful performance. Can you do it again so we get the level better?
Right. Right.
What? That was a moment, man, in time where I connected with the universe, and now you want me to repeat that? It doesn't work, man. Not for me.
Lightning in a bottle, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what you have to capture, and it seems like you're capturing it well. So I mean,
thanks, man.
Of course, yeah. In terms of the new stuff that you talked about, you had all these ideas, especially when you were sort of in your recovery period. Have you started acting on any of those songs, or sort of what can people expect from that?
We're slowly working things through. So next year we hope to have a new album. Hopefully you'll invite me back on your show, and I'll be able to tell you. I'll be able to tell you all about it. I will have survived my own tour that I'm doing now because I'm so excited, man. I don't think I'll have another heart attack. I think I'll just explode.
No, gosh. Let's hope not.
Over there. Did you see Blaze have a heart attack? No, he just exploded. 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 He was excited. He was so excited. He got on stage. Bang. That was it. He's gone. I saw Blaze Bayley explode on stage at his first concert.
Talk about a finale.
Yeah, that's it. So what?
He went out with a bang.
Then I have to, get someone to fish around for a bit of my consciousness, fit it into a robot body, little bit of AI, and come back as Blaze Bayley 2.
Talk about a tour. Now that's a tour.
Yeah, that's it.
That is hilarious, man. I mean, look, obviously people are excited too to see that you have Absolva coming out as a special guest. I'm just curious, when did you discover Absolva, and how exactly did this come about?
Well, years and years ago, I think maybe was it Man Who Would Not Die tour? I'm terrible for details, man. And the guys had been asking if they could support me. Anyway, one time they did manage to support me. I think there were Fury UK back then. and they were on time, did the job, very, very powerful. And I thought, oh, this is a good band. These people are worthy of support. And we just worked together over the years as much as possible. They helped me a few times on my tours. They got better and better. Songs have got better and better. And their live presentation is absolutely fantastic. So it's nice, really. We've worked together so much over the years that we put our show together as a whole show. So it's not so much Absolva, Blaze Bayley. It's like, yes, it is the two bands, but it just goes in. We set up the gear, get everything done, and it's the minimum amount of fuss, less technical problems, everything. And you have this wonderful support band who basically are trying to rip your head off. And
there you go.
In a one way, it's like the nightmare support band because they're trying to blow me off the stage every night.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but that must keep you going like crazy, though.
You're on your toes, man. You're on your toes. You're like, oh, well, you cannot relax. It's like if you had a shitty, boring support band, you go, oh, well, I could just, I haven't even got to warm up tonight. I'm going to, blow the crap out of them. But you have Absolva supporting you, you're like, ooh, better get warmed up, better make sure I'm 100%
Got to fire up.
Yeah, man. And then they're also my backing band, so they're blowing themselves away. So
and they gotta play a lot too.
Genius.
They give it all. Then they come backstage, get a drink, and give it all again.
Yeah. That's legendary, man.
It's madness, but it works, and it's just incredible. So we've had fantastic reactions on the tour up to March, and now coming back in October. I've changed the set list a bit to make it a little bit easier on myself. Mm-hmm. As I come back, it is the first show after a heart attack. The biggest surgery you can get is open heart surgery because they actually cut you in half.
Wow.
And then, rip your chest open, rip your heart out, plug it all back together with different bits, stuff it back in, restart it, put all this, and then you're there with a massive scar going, I can't move my chest. And they go, breathe. It's important that you breathe deep. I'm going, it hurts to breathe.
Oh.
Breathe now. I need painkillers. You've had all the painkillers, just breathe. so, man, that's tough. So, I've got to come back. And before I'm going to change the set around a few of the songs that I know a bit easier on myself, that I love. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully fans will like it. It's going to be a good tour. We start out at the end of October. We've got 6 shows left that were left over from before, and then after those 6 shows in October with the Absolva guys, then I go and I do my Wolfsbane tour.
Very cool.
All this in like 6 months. You came back from like open heart surgery, quadruple in 6 months, dude. Like that's insane. It's unheard of.
It's a different way of looking at it now. What they said to me in hospital, what they used to do was leave people in bed till they felt better. And a lot of those people died of pneumonia because the lungs fill up with fluid. What you have to do now, the day after the surgery, you're standing up and you're breathing. The next day, you're walking. Wow. And you better do it because that's the only way to get the fluid out of your lungs. That fluid is going to kill you if it mounts up. You're going to get pneumonia and you are in real trouble. So I'm like, well, I'm a singer. I'm trained. I've got good technique. Breathing, no problem for me. It's agony with every breath you take. Absolute agony. So that was tough, man. That third night in hospital, that was one of the toughest nights I ever had. I thought, I'm in hospital where people come to get fixed up, and I really don't know how I feel. This is so tough. But that was the worst. After that, little bit better, little bit, just hang on. But that third night after the operation, man, that was so tough.
Wow.
Well, we're so happy to have you back, man, and obviously really excited to see you live and out there doing what you're supposed to be doing, man. So, I mean, it's an incredible, inspiration when it comes to a story. I'm curious for the live sets. Do you dabble in any of your other groups' work in your solo shows, like any Wolfsbane or Maiden?
What I do with my live show is I don't do any Wolfsbane because I feel if you want to see a Wolfsbane song, you can come and see us at some point. Yeah. Wolfsbane will be on tour. But I do things from my Maiden era because I do my own version, really. And a lot of people that come to see me for the first time, they only know me from a few songs with Iron Maiden. So I think it would be tragic if you came to see me and the only song that you knew was from Iron Maiden and you didn't hear that. Right. So I do a couple of songs from there, and then I do songs. I got 12 albums of my own. Yeah. So that's a lot of stuff that people know. So I try and do a mix of songs, not just the new album. So it's a bit of everything. And then sometimes what I like to do, and this has been very popular with fans, they ask me to do an Iron Maiden set list where it's from the X Factor and Virtual 11, which are my two albums with Iron Maiden, and I do a special anniversary set list. I just sing songs from that, but in my own style.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll be doing that a couple of times next year as well. I think it's my 30th anniversary of joining Iron Maiden.
Wow. So, what's your sentiment towards sort of Maiden and the fans now? Because it's interesting. A lot of guys who like were in a different group and now they've moved on, they don't really welcome the people who sort of like champion those eras and they try to shy away from it. Whereas you're very candid with the fact that some people, that's sort of what they're coming for. So how do you balance that?
Well, I'm very lucky in a way. Before I joined Iron Maiden, I was an Iron Maiden fan. And I knew what happens to the singers of Iron Maiden and from Kiss, ex-members of Kiss, bands like that. You will always be associated with that famous band. If you were played with Ozzy Osbourne or whatever, you'll always be associated with those guys. And so I was ready for that. I was friends with the guys in the band. I'm still friends with the guys. I go and see Steve Harris with his British Lion band, and also I saw Maiden twice on this tour, said hi to the guys. So I'm incredibly lucky that in my chosen profession of being a heavy metal singer, I got what is to me the top job, the number one job in the world of my profession. That is being the singer of what I consider to be the most important heavy metal band in the world. I'm very lucky to have had that, to have spent 5 years with Iron Maiden, 2 albums, a few B-sides. I'm incredibly lucky. For me, it's a matter of pride. Where I come from, where we are in the world of heavy metal, you look back at where you come from. Ronnie James Dio, when he was alive, he always acknowledged where he came from. Yeah. And for me, as a metalhead and as someone who sings in this genre, it's important to say, yeah, I come from there. That's a part of me. That's what's made me who I am. I'm not going to say, oh, this is nothing to do with me. No, that's a part of me. But this is what I'm doing now. So when you listen to the War Within Me album, what you're actually hearing is this huge influence from Iron Maiden on my songwriting, on my voice, this influence that comes from way back in the day when we started with Wolfsbane, those bits and pieces. You listen to All Within Me and you've got this part of where I have been. It's all there. It's fighting suicidal thoughts. It's looking at people who overcome the impossible and going, well, if they did that, maybe there's a chance I can do it too. So that's where I am. I love guitar melodies. I love electric guitar. I love electric guitar playing melodies. I love harmony guitars. I love big drums, all of that. So that's what's on my album.
Absolutely. It's all genuine. And I mean, it's just incredible to hear someone so, so humble and so grounded inside of this business. It's definitely rare to find.
Blaze, sorry to cut you off, Cassius, but we need to, whatever your this energy and this attitude you have has to be boxed and be able to, so we can purchase it, because it's
Yeah.
Yes, it's
it's
called,
amazing.
It just you can get it. It's widely available. It's called War Within Me album.
That's
there you
right.
go.
Just
Plug it in.
Get War Within Me album in your car or on your headphones, or get it on your hi-fi, whatever system you've got. Get War Within Me. Make time to sit down for 40 minutes with that album. Take it to the gym. It's
Yes.
got songs on there which we wrote with a workout, with you being at the gym in mind. So
Amazing.
take War Within Me to the gym and get motivated, get parts of it, because we wrote that album in the lockdown. We were thinking, if you've been waiting 2 years for a new Blaze Bayley album, what do you want? You're a Blaze Bayley fan, you want it. You want a miserable, the lockdown so tough, or you want, come on, get yourself going. We'll fight back now. Let's have a go. And every song that we did, Chris and I were just going, man, does that sound positive to you? Is that a good ending? Do you want to leave it like that? Is that going to leave people feeling empowered, prepared for a challenge to come back from 2 years of absolute misery? No, it's not. So let's change it. Is that lyric going to uplift people? Is that lyric going to go in there and make them, you know what, I can do it. I can get back. I can have a go. And that's what we did for every song. We're like, is this going to fit in the context of 10 songs that at the end of this album, you feel like you can get in the gym and you can bench more than you've ever benched before? Is this going to do? If this gets you on the rowing machine and it gets you the fastest 2,000 meters you've ever done, if this gets you on the treadmill and you're not coming off, not till this album's finished.
Gonna see smoke coming off the treadmill.
That's the album. That's the album that I want for my fans. When people are looking in the gym and they're saying, God, who is this guy? Who is this guy? It's a combination of Usain Bolt and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? And you go, oh, he's just an ordinary guy, but he's listening to Blaze Bayley, War Within Me.
Hell
That's
yeah.
right. And I'll just say, shut up and take my money, because you've sold me at this point.
That's awesome.
I love it, man. Blaze, thank you so much for joining us, man. We're going to put all the
thanks
links
for having me
for
on the show.
everybody. Yeah, we're going to put the links for the
Thank you
tour
so
as well.
much.
We want people to go get your tickets, man. So we're definitely
I'd love
going to
it.
put that
I'd
there.
love it, man. I'm independent, and there's just two things. If they look after the sound system, and if they treat the fans well, I always go back. And it doesn't matter if that's 100 capacity or 5,000 or whatever. But if they don't treat the fans well and they don't care about sound equipment, I'll never go back to that place. I don't care where it is. No amount of money will take me back there. If you know what, I'm going to do this free meet and greet. I've done it for years where I've met my fans and signed. And sometimes I've had venue security saying, no, that's it, everybody out. And I'm going, well, I haven't signed for everybody. I've had to go out on the street in Buenos Aires and 300 fans surrounding me. And I'm like signing my way out because I refuse to not say thank you to my fans. And man, that was quite a scary experience. I had to stop 2 fights that night there on the main street in Buenos Aires. I signed for every single fan and nobody hassled me. No fan was horrible to me. No fan tried to sign me or steal when I had hair, you know. So it's important, man. I'm small. I'm independent. I'm not trying to be big. I like to play the big festivals and that, but my own shows, I just want to connect with my fans and put my music in your face and in your ears. You're not coming to see me. You're coming to be part of this performance. My fans are part of it. So I'd love it if you could just get people to give me a chance, listen to a couple of my songs from the War Within Me album. Matt, you'll be doing me, man, such a big favor. That'd be great. I'd love that.
Absolutely, man. We got your back with that 100%. And just keep going, man. Continued good health, continued great shows, and just keep rocking, man. You're an inspiration to all of us, bro.
Thank you, Cassius. Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much for having me on the show, man. Thank you so
man.
much.
Huge shout out to Blaze Bayley for joining us on episode 132 of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. I can't even imagine that you guys are not hyped up after just watching that interview. As we said, the energy is just infectious, and it's great to see a guy not only so happy, Joe, about where he is in his life and his career, but also just so thankful to be where he is. You know, you hear so many people wishing they were in a different place. I wish I had, more followers. I wish I had more sales, this and that. Blaze doesn't care. As long as he's making good music with the people he loves, for the people he loves, he's happy. And that, honestly, to me, is really refreshing.
Yeah, I can't even add anything else. It's like 100%. I also like that you asked about the Iron Maiden and does it annoy him when people come up to him and stuff? Because, we understand, right? And I love that he just said, man, dude, I joined the best heavy metal band in the world.
Yeah.
Probably the most important heavy metal band. I think so. Well, at least in the top 5. And he did 5 years. He did 2 albums. He did the tour. He's still friends with them, all that stuff. And look, it gave him a long-lasting career that he could still continue doing his music. And like he said, he's fiercely independent. Every penny counts. Every decision affects him greatly. It's not like he can afford to make mistakes and stuff like that. And I'm also just glad to see that the metal community supports guys that are independent and in the worst times of their lives.
100%. It's great to have him back, and make sure to go check out Blaze Bayley in the links down below. Of course, if you're in the UK, if you're anywhere across Europe, chances are Blaze is going to be coming to a city near you, and we highly encourage you guys to go out and support him, support independent metal artists and independent artists in general. It's definitely very important. Make sure to go out and do that. Of course, make sure to follow us as well. If you enjoyed this brand new episode of the podcast, click that subscribe on YouTube. We have new content almost every single day, including community tab posts with polls and different questions to see what our audience is listening to. Also, come check in with us on social media at SoundMojo, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. Drop us a line. We'll definitely say hello, and always looking forward to seeing what you guys think of the show. Also, make sure to check out this podcast on your favorite audio platform. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and make sure to drop a 5-star rating as well for the show. We definitely appreciate that, as it helps boost us and get heard by more people. Hope you enjoyed this brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.